Good morning, everyone. Welcome once again to the Aurum podcast, where we discuss all things related to building winning teams. I'm your host. My name is Tony Kuria, and I'm so glad that you could be able to join with us. The Aurum podcast is hosted by Aurum Consultants Limited, a human resource and risk advisory consultancy. And here, our job and our mission is to help business people build winning teams by strengthening their human capital. Now, this month of July, we've been discussing issues regarding leadership, leading from the front, because you cannot be steering a bus from the back. A bus driver steers it from the front. And therefore, as a leader, you've got to steer it from the front. And today, we have a powerful topic that we want to discuss. And I have two individuals here who are immensely capable of helping us deconstruct the topic today. We are discussing serving with love, leading from the front. Today, it's about leadership from the perspective of serving with love. And to help me deconstruct is my partner, the managing director of Aurum Consultants, Madam Zipporah Kuria. Welcome, Zippy.
Thank you, Anthony. Good morning, viewers.
Yes, and today I have a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, who in many ways is my coach and my mentor in areas regarding business. His name is Frank Kitonga, the director, Nehemiah Kenya. Frank, karibu sana, and kindly introduce yourself and tell us what you do at Nehemiah Kenya.
Thank you very much, Tony. First of all, I think the consistency and the effort, the depth of topics, the quality of guests that I've seen you guys do since you began this program and the podcast and talking to people has been amazing. And I just want to congratulate you guys for your consistency.
Thank
And
you.
I think kingdom is not about matawa, as in shining things and
Yes.
everybody. It's about picking a line of your calling and being consistent. I just want to honor you guys for how you sustained this journey this far. So God bless you guys. So
Mm,
yes, so my name is Frank
thank you.
Kitonga. I'm a
Thank you.
Kingdom Business Coach, and I work with Nehemiah Project here in Nairobi. By the grace of God, I'm the country director for Nehemiah Project, also the assistant regional director for Nehemiah in Africa. Altogether, we've been running, Nehemiah globally has been running for about 23 years now. Touched over 20,000 entrepreneurs with training and over 2,000 entrepreneurs with coaching. And now we've raised a fund for where we are supporting businesses. Right now, the fund is still growing. It's about 3 years old, it's getting to near $3 million, about $2.65 million already that we have been giving out at very affordable rates to part of our community. But it's crowdfunded, so it means it's those 20,000 people who've been through it trying to support others. Because we have businesses
Mm,
that maybe in some cases in the US, we have businesses that are the GDP of the country and the assets under management for them is about the same. And I mean the GDP for Kenya in comparison to this. So
mm,
there's some huge businesses in this space that we're in. Here in Kenya, we've reached over 200 people through our flagship product called Biblical Entrepreneurship. And we have a community of about over 200 people right now, or businesses actually, that are part of the community or the family we're building here in Kenya. Yeah, and
mm.
with this growth, we have now gone into Hope FM, and we will actually now be teaching the nation. We will be discipling the nation into kingdom entrepreneurship, and for that, we're also very thankful. And we do that every Tuesday between 11 and 1. Asante sana. Are we live? Can you guys hear me? Zippy, can you hear me, guys? Okay, sorry, guys. Are you back?
Yes, yes. Yes, Frank. We have a bit of a power outage, but we are able to connect and continue. There's no problem. We had a bit of a power outage where we live, but yeah, we will continue, and we are right here. Yes, Frank. Thank you very much for that introduction regarding Nehemiah Project International, being based here in Kenya. Also, you being the country director, and indeed, it is through Nehemiah that I'll admit to our viewers, Zippy and I have learned a lot about what you do through the coaching that we have received through Nehemiah Project International here in Kenya. Now, the topic, somebody may ask, what does this serve with love business mean? It means it's basically a way, the way I understood it, it's a way to lead that empowers you to make a difference in the lives of others. It is a way to take responsibility for your own growth and development, while at the same time helping those that are around you. So, Frank, let me begin from this point. There's something you've said there about what you do at Nehemiah, and specifically about Nehemiah. I mean, about what we're about to discuss in Serve with Love. Now, for a leader, you could be a you could be a business, owning a business like an entrepreneur. You could be a manager, senior manager in a business. You're a CEO, you're a director, you're all the way down to the basic employee. What does it really mean for any person who is a leader, either as an entrepreneur or as a manager? Could you help us understand what does serve with love mean?
Mm. Thank you for that. First of all, it's an amazing story to just read. And if any of the people will be interested, we're happy to. It's this we have designed an amazing conversation on Serve with Love. So first, Serve with Love is actually a mission
Mm,
statement. It's like a mission statement for a business called Bagaville. And as we were working with Bagaville from the US,
mm,
Bagaville, just to give you a sense, has about 40, I
yes.
think 46 fast food stations. Pick, for example, just for those who are in Kenya, just to help. Some would love. I mean, Bagaville is like KFCs, the large
Mm,
KFCs that have their own real estate built in this big petrol station and mall and stuff like that. So that's what the Bagaville is. So there are 46 of those around Portland, Oregon. And so, as an organization, they began to seek who are we and what do we want to do. Um, so what I've done is I decided to redesign. I mean, or what we to answer your question is to say that while these guys started seeking like an identity for them, that's where this whole serve with love conversation came because they had like seven they went through a transition. Imagine, I don't know if you remember that, Tony, but they went through a transition of
mm,
defining their different identity statement. They, for example, started with meeting our guests expectations, thinking about they are in the business. Then they said exceeding our guests expectations. Then they went to have fun, be the best, no compromise. And then years later, an invitation to trust. And you can see there's a journey there that they're trying to move out of just thinking of you come and eat chips and leave.
mm,
Get fresh chips, fresh water, and you have a fresh drink. But then they got to a place where because of their own personal transformation,
mm,
they were able to change the transformation of the business. Say, myself, I want to, uh, I want to influence. So that's when they said, I want to serve with love. So what serve with love is really about a mission-led business, as in where your mission is really the core. Guys, when you have a mission-led business, that's a very different thing. As in, we say like a mission-led leader, what they do is they put the core of the mission at the heart of the organization, and then they drive the entire organization to the very nitty gritties of every part of their business is run through the lens of that one mission and vision. Yeah. Uh, so that's really what we call a mission-led business. And so where you at the heart of who you are, you're clear what is your mission, and then you design all the business model of the business behind that mission. So, for example, think about how you treat your employees, your suppliers. And I know I'm going already far, but this is really the core, is to be mission led. You know what is the opposite of being mission led? Is being
Mm-hmm.
transaction led. Manze, we need to make
Mm.
this kind of money now. We need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And all you're about is, I want profit. I want money. I want it at all costs. I want it now. I will not delay for another day. You see, not that is really
Mm.
about when you're focused on transaction base. Mission led, on the other hand, is we are here to make a difference in a certain way. The business we do day to day is the tool we use, but really we are here to make people feel they are number one. And that's what Serve with Love began to be. That's a little different with a transaction led type of business. Okay. Did I answer your question, Tony? I hope so.
Wow, wow. Yes. Yes, Frank. You've answered the question brilliantly. And to our viewers and listeners, you've heard what exactly serve with love means. It is basically what Frank has said. He has brought it to a nutshell because this one, across industry, it doesn't matter what your faith is. Are you leading from a mission purpose, or are you leading from a transaction purpose? And this is what a lot of business people out there, Frank, if you think about it, many people out there who are doing business, sometimes I sit and talk to them and you listen somebody saying, hii biashara yangu ni ya kutafuta unga, lakini pia kuna vile hii kitu yangu inasaidia watu sana. So they have not yet realized that they're trying to grapple with the question, am I doing business or am I doing my work from a place of earning an income, making profit, or am I providing something beyond just feeding myself? And therefore, until and out there, what I would like to bring out to our viewers and listeners is that you can transition from transactional way of doing business or even a way of being employed to a place where you are indeed mission led. Zippy, from your perspective, what do now that we've done this serve with love, you and I, from your perspective, how has it been really as a leader? What does it come out for you as a leader?
Thank you, Anthony. Many apologies. I think we have power fluctuations that is affecting our connectivity. But I think Frank has put it very well in terms of looking at it from a mission-led perspective. And I remember when this concept, or when we had the this term for the first time, I was a little bit lost. How do you serve with love? You're trying to do a business, and I think we were coming from a place of being transactional and doing business, like you're saying, to just make ends meet. Um, and from where I sit, and I always keep on saying this, when you are serving or working with people to serve your customers, you must love people, and you must look back at your vision, your mission, your values to understand: am I really uh, being transactional in the way I am looking at this thing? And looking at it from a place of, I want to serve people, but not just for the purpose of making money. I want to serve people because God has called me to this position, to this responsibility, to be a blessing to other people. So when I'm serving from a place of, I'm in the mission field, so to speak. If I'm a biblical entrepreneur, if I'm doing business God's way, I am in the business of serving people and serving God. I'm a steward in this business. And that forces me to go back and look at my mission and how I'm applying that into the service I'm delivering. When you're serving with love and you're working with people, and this is, I think, it's very critical, you must make your team also understand who you are and what you really stand for and what the mission really means. And they must be at the place of understanding and buying into that vision, understanding and serving the way you envision it. Because if we don't bring ourselves to a place of explaining to our team members, this is our vision, these are our values, and this is what we live by. This is how we serve our customers. This is how we serve our suppliers and the community we work in, then it will become very difficult for you to operate from a place where you're not being transactional. So we need to think about our mission, our vision, and how we are using that for the glory and for the kingdom of God if we are doing business God's way. If I bring it to perspective on how we do this, we have to be very deliberate. As RM consultants, we are very deliberate. How we serve our employees, how we communicate, how we bring our vision to them, to understand what the expectation is, and for them to understand what it really means for them. Because if they don't buy into that vision, then the truth is, as employees, they will also be very transactional. They are doing business, they're working for you to make money and go home. And that is a natural reaction. But we need to understand, like we always keep on saying, work is worship. And we've been given a responsibility, we've been given a business to steward, and we are stewarding this business from a place of a mission-led perspective, a mission that serves and glorifies God. So that's what I would say in terms of just the applicability of how we've been able to use this in terms of just bringing the whole idea of serving with love to perspective.
Thank you, Zippy. Indeed, you have broken it down to where we are at. Huh? And to our viewers and listeners, you are welcome to send in questions if you have a question. For example, how if I am employed somewhere, I am just just employed. How does this come in? How do I bring in the issue of serving with love? If I'm just, yeah, maybe, I'm a contractor somewhere. I'm just working, deliver service, get paid, move on. How do I serve with love? Love. So all those, if you have those questions, if you'd like for us to discuss them, kindly send in your question or comments. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. You could kindly send in your questions or comments. I believe that kindly send in your questions while
You know, Zippy,
Yes, yes,
Zippy, I
Charles.
was
your
going
comments you
to,
have is
sorry, I know we're having a connection there. Zippy, I was going to preempt the question from Korea there about where do you even begin this journey?
Mm,
Where do
mm,
you even start? Because I was hearing you coming. So where
mm,
do you even start to create a business that is running based on a mission? And it's not. I have to say, as an entrepreneur, you have to wake up looking for pressure. I don't know about you guys, but life can be. My children need to go to school. Unga ni 100, lakini itakuwa 200. What do you do to make sure you can afford this life
mm,
and you can move? So you can't actually be completely focused on self. You can't.
mm,
And it is actually, we were doing a differentiation the other day of what is the difference between a biblical entrepreneur and a traditional entrepreneur. A traditional entrepreneur is led primarily by profits. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're just saying that you can be led by more. Yeah. And a biblical entrepreneur is led to fulfill God's purposes and to meet needs in their community. So now, so why do you even want to? First, why should you even have a mission? If I'm getting the money, what's the big deal? One of the things I've
Yes.
seen here in our continent is, and before we can discuss where do you even start, is we've seen organizations or businesses that didn't have a core and an ethos, and when the founder was no longer able to carry on the business, and another person came back and took it, they were unable to run it. It's
Yeah.
like they didn't know what was the core of this business. What is it? Why do we even have employees? Do you see employees as people who should just be reporting to you and calling you boss? Or do you see them as partners of meeting needs with you in the market? Or do you see suppliers as people who beg you to get business? Or do you see them as an intricate part of meeting your customers' needs? Or do you see customers only people who bring you money? Do you see them as also partners in your business who you're serving, and by them coming to you, it's a huge privilege because you're meeting a need in the community or around the place where God has called you. So you see, this thing around being mission led starts at that place of you actually want to build, and we've been in this club, we're saying we want to build businesses that run for about 100 years. If you want to build a business, and not just in terms of succession, again, when you're not a mission-led business, everyone is not clear what your mission. People pull in different directions, isn't it? Because everyone has their own way of interpreting who is a customer, how do we meet them. So your sales team may be selling to one class of one type of customer, while your operational team, in their mind, they have a very different customer. That means that the business is actually being run completely messed up, you see, because the sales guy brings a guy who the value proposition being built, the operational team is meeting another guy's need. And these two don't talk, and there's conflict, obviously. And then the finance team have their own mindset of who the client is, while your HR team has a completely. So even when you're recruiting, you're all recruiting for a completely different business. Everyone is thinking completely. This thing about mission led is what it creates: teamwork, it creates oneness, coherence, alignment in the business. And when you're aligned like this, you all pull the rope. You all pull the rope to win with one clear direction, which is to influence the marketplace where you're operating in a certain way. That changes everything. As in the Serve with Love story, they have this guy who comes in and he is homeless. And the lady who is ready to take the order sees that the guy is homeless and he says, "How can we serve you today? You matter to us and to God." And the guy says, "I'd like to have this, but I have no money." He says, "No problem." That decision of saying, "No problem, come, what would you like to eat? You eat a burger? Okay, come, sit." And they sit there and they eat. How can a lowest level employee, cashier in that case maybe, make a decision that I can give a free meal? They can do that because they've been part of something that says, this is what Serve with Love looks like. By the way, we have a budget for helping people. The finance team is aligned. The kitchen is aligned. So everybody will say, oh, this is a Serve with Love meal. It's going to be put in the budget, but it is going to be served in the best way possible still. Oh, so you see, this empowers the entire organization to make decisions coherently. And then it empowers the people who are working there to say, as long as I'm operating within our mission, then I can take decisions, and I know it will be the same decision my MD will have taken, my supervisor will have taken. Therefore, you know what you've done? You've reduced the decision making process. By the way, by doing so, you have reduced the cost of operation in your business. Because now we can make better decisions, be more efficient, be more effective. That is what we are calling a serve with love or a mission led organization. Yeah. So I'm going to go back to you, Tony, first. But I was going to talk about how do you process. But I decided to just say, why is this a powerful thing to do? Because it changes. You know, how can I ensure that the way my team treats my people is the same? The one thing I can do, begin to drive a mission-led business, because I can transit, I can pass on the values that I have to my team in a circle, in a capsule called culture or mission-led organization. So when I transfer my values to them, then their values can be transferred to my customer, whether I'm there or not, whether I can see it or not. And obviously, there's a lot that will happen between your team and your customer that you will not be seeing. Therefore, you better create a capsule where that culture is developed, is grown, is supported, because then it can support the rest of the organization. Back to you, Tony.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
Well,
If
Anthony,
you're
just before
listening
you
like I am,
that,
yes, yes, go ahead, Zippy.
just something I've picked from Frank, and it's just very interesting, looking at the mission and how that translates to a meal being served without necessarily that person going all the way to ask for permission. And it takes me back to what we keep on talking about, creating systems. And you have to link your systems and your processes to your mission in a way that actually the person down there is able to make a decision, and not creating a system that is so bureaucratic in terms of how you serve your customers. And we can see in that example actually love being exhibited in a very simple way, yet is something that is already within the culture and the systems of that business. So I think that is very powerful, Frank, what you said. And just from a practical perspective, because someone might be looking at it and saying, I have the mission, and I'm talking about the mission to my people. But does that translate to the activities that are actually happening down on the floor when they're serving your customers?
And just to
Wow.
pick on your conversation there, Zippy, you see, that's why you have to think of, okay, so this is what it means. Now you've got to think, what do I do to drive the culture of my organization all the way to that level? What is it that I'm going to do to go there? And that's where the journey we need to now discuss. But before that, I wanted to make sure Tony, what he wanted to say before we take over. I'm feeling anointing, anointing, anointing.
That anointing is what we need in this particular discussion, because if you think about it, and I'm sure those who are watching us, listening to us, are sitting and nodding their heads as Frank and Zippy were talking. Why? Because we all know that in Kenya now, I mean, if you're running something serious, if you're really serious, and this came in especially uh, after Equity Bank. Let me use that example here. I believe, probably I may be wrong, but I believe because of the the great rise of Equity Bank, the idea of serving with a mission really came to the fore. Because I remember prior to that, my previous employers before 2002, that time, I didn't even know what the mission of my previous employers were. If they had, it was something kept at the boardroom. The rest of us just came, went to work, and I was working for a multinational. And I think this particular entity called, to use the example of Equity Bank, they really brought the idea of mission and what they wanted to do. And now it's very fashionable for most businesses to talk about their mission, their vision, their values. But today, Frank, I believe our listeners have now distilled and understood why mission is very important. What is it that we're intending to achieve? How can management bring it down to the person working at the at the customer service, the person working at the shop at the shop of a company, somebody working at an office, just somebody working in an office, at an officer who is working in whatever. It could be an insurance company, it could be a bank, it could be a supermarket, whatever it is that you're doing. Can you bring that vision to the level where that person at the bottom knows that he is working for a mission-led company, and why he is serving his customers? And out there, to be honest with you, Frank, there are quite a number of companies that have managed to distill that. I've interacted with a few, I've worked with a few, where the idea of being a mission-led company is clear to most employees. But today, what we are trying to bring in, the point that we want to instill, is is beyond just serving, beyond just serving your customers well. Do you serve them with love? Can you, as the managing director, as the entrepreneur, as the CEO, as the division head, can you lead your team to serve with love, to understand that serving is business? Why am I saying that?
I think it looks like we've lost Tony. Frank, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Sorry.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, Tony, we've lost you there in a bit.
Yes, sorry for that. I've realized anytime we're with Frank discussing things, uh, things happen. Things happen. Powers decides to act up. My car, sometimes I'm coming to see Frank, my car decides not to work. But hey, we are serving, we are serving God's people with love.
Tony, I'm not sure what is the implication
The
of that.
implication is, the implication is I mean, what you've just described the last 5, 10 minutes. If I was listening, if I'm a viewer and listener listening to this, it completely makes me understand why we have a mission and a vision in any company. And I was about to say before Power interrupted that beyond the mission and vision you hear out there, here what we are saying is you can go beyond that by deciding my mission is to serve with love. To understand the way you've put it, your suppliers, your employees, your customers, your shareholders, there is a reason why you are the center, as the managing director, as the entrepreneur, why you are serving all these interests with a mentality of serving with love. Our time has really gone. Frank, what can you say in conclusion? Now,
Yeah,
yeah, yes, kindly
actually,
give us.
that's good. I
Yes,
was
what
going
can
to talk about how where do you take this? Where do you begin this thing? That's
mm,
what I was going to talk about. Um, you can never give what you don't have to,
yes,
or you can never become. You've got to really give something you have, isn't it?
yes,
This journey of serve or a mission led business must begin with a journey of purpose. The entrepreneur themselves, the MD, the person who is on the reins of the business needs to do what? Needs to find out, who am I? Identity is a huge thing. And let me just explain, what does it look like to have been purpose driven and not to be purpose driven. For example, you're going to empower the people and you're going to say, from today, you guys will be doing this because you're the ones who talk to customers. I now give you power to make decision on the budget, or I give you
mm,
power to make decision on bringing in a client in this form. Now,
mm,
if you, as the MD or the CEO or the founder, the entrepreneur, is not secure in yourself, you will never be able to give. So you will give somebody responsibility, but when they are in the middle of the doing it, guess what you'll do? You'll jump in and take over because you're not safe, you're not comfortable. So for you to really be able to give responsibilities to others and allow them to make mistakes, allow them to learn, and you're the one who will be paying for the mistake, you've got to come to a place where you figure out, so who am I? The way to kill or the antidote of insecurity is knowing for sure whose am I, who am I, why am I here, what am I trying, what am I called to accomplish. When this becomes clear, let me tell you, there's few things that as powerful as knowing your identity and knowing yourself. I always say it this way: knowing God and knowing you together, you become a dynamite. Because then I can actually come into a position. I see this client is actually not getting the best information, but I can put it in context in the journey of the person doing it. I can say, but I see, even though the client is not getting the best, I can see that where my employee is they were in point A, we need to be in point D, but surely they're in point B. They are not yet there, but there's a transition. And you can hold yourself and allow them to learn, allow them to become it, allow them to arrive. The master, as in Jesus came and lived for 3 years and got 12 followers or disciples. And he was confident enough to leave the earth and leave 12 guys. My goodness, you guys.
Yeah.
This is God. He could leave 12 human beings with the work that he paid such a high price to and say, from now on, I've given it to you. But how did he do that? Go back to the story of scripture, and you will find where the Father was saying to Jesus, you are my beloved son. This is my beloved son. Listen to him. At that point, several things happened. He was able to say there was a clear identity that I am a son belonging to God. That is the core, the essence of it. When that is in place, you do the work and you're able to release it, even to your own son. Do you know, if you can't even find your own purpose, if you can't be clear about it, even you can't trust your own children to take. And so
Wow.
the journey of a mission-led business begins with me, and me beginning to identify, so who am I? So what are my issues? Have I dealt with my issues, my wounds, my failures in life? And what am I most scared about? Have I put it on the table? Am I dealing with it? As you start to do that, you begin to free yourself from being the Lord and God of your business. God can be God, and your team can be your team.
Guys, if you have listened to me and as impressed as I am with what Frank has described, then you would want to jump into this and understand what it means for you to run your business from a place of a mission led position, serving with love. And Zippy, I don't know if you have anything to conclude with as we come to a close.
Wow, what can I say after Mr. Frank has given such powerful words? But one of the things that we must understand, even as we lead mission-led businesses and serving the people we work with, we must realize that people matter because we work with people. And when we are creating that mission, when we are, understanding who we are to be able to lead this business, we need to help our teams understand, who are you? Why are you here? What makes you do what you do? I mean, what do you want to do? And I like what Franga said. Sometimes an employee is serving a customer and they're supposed to be in point D, but then point B. What do you do to help them get there? And again, the whole concept of serving with love and giving them the opportunity to learn and helping them, probably taking them through trainings, will come into perspective. And I think this is a discussion we can probably dive in a little bit more in terms of now the practical aspects of having to do this. But we must understand, we need to understand our identity, and we need to lead mission-led businesses.
Thank you, Franco, very much. Thank you, Zippy, very much for helping us here understand and have a clear idea what does it mean to serve with love. Indeed, it begins from you knowing yourself, you as a leader, you as a CEO, you as an entrepreneur, knowing yourself. Why am I here? And then now knowing why you serve the people you serve. I thank you, Mr. Boniface Musembi, for your comments. We appreciate, as you put it, culture is ultimate. It starts from onboarding to exit. Thank you very much, Boniface. That's very true. It does happen if you, culture is very critical, and it starts from the place of you understanding yourself as an entrepreneur and then running from there. To those who have been with us, I'm sure you're wondering, who is this guy you brought today? This Frank guy. Where you're saying he's your coach and he's giving us very powerful insights. If you'd like to know more about Frank Tonga and Nehemiah Project International, that are kingdom coaches, coaching biblical entrepreneurs to be able, first of all, to understand who they are, even as they go out there to conquer. Kindly get in touch with us. At the bottom of your screen, you can see our WhatsApp contacts, YouTube, LinkedIn, and the Facebook. You can get in touch with us to know more about this. If you'd like to know more about what he does in terms of coaching, we would be glad to be able to connect you uh, with him. His contacts, you can get in touch through Nehemiah community.com/Kenya, and this will be posted in our social media sites. Frank, thank you very much for taking your time this morning to join us. Najua umetuonyesha tu, umetuonyesha watu wamedonjo kidogo, wamesema na hiyo imeingia ni tamu kweli kweli. Well, I hope we'll be able to get you soon in this podcast, to discuss more about leadership and leadership from a biblical perspective. So we really appreciate you joining with us. Zippy, thank you as usual for enabling us to deconstruct it practically, from a practical perspective, what entrepreneurs can run, can do in the topics that we discussed. And to you, our viewer and our listener, thank you for taking your Saturday to join us. Next week, we'll wrap up this discussion of leading from the front. And I promise you, we will have a business leader who will join us to help us look at this thing even in an even different perspective. With that said, thank you very much for joining with us. We pray
Thank
that you have
you.
indeed a restful weekend. See you next week, same time, same place.